morning, folks. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is Snapzilla Gorilla. Welcome to the definition of anarchy. Now, today is Thursday, June 11th, 2020, and I'm in Southern California right now. Got clear skies. It was pretty hot yesterday, about 90-something degrees, but you know, it's all good. So today, what I want to talk about are what I want to talk about is how we need to look out for people that want us to remain in a state of slavery and oppression. And, you know, they might not even know that that's what they want. They might not even know that that's what they're calling for. But essentially, that's what it is. So, I'm listening to Anthony Brian Logan's live show yesterday because I like to know how people are thinking, you know, how certain people are thinking on the left and the right. And when you have big voices that are putting out information to the masses or to the people, they can influence the thinking and the mind state of those subscribers or those followers. So it's always a good idea, even if it's irritating, to listen and pay attention to what these people are telling people. Okay, it's like ABL yesterday said that, you know, of course he's against abolishing the police wholeheartedly and completely, because he's a huge supporter of the police, right? So he's saying that people are talking about communities coming together and taking care of their own communities and policing their own communities. He said that's dumb. That's what he said. So, you know, of course I was ready to call in the show to
Watch out, pothole on road ahead.
To explain how it's not dumb and that there are in fact already communities that are doing that, right? They might have, you know, a sheriff or something like that, but they don't have a huge police presence. Matter of fact, there's a town in Georgia where everybody open carries, everybody does this, everybody does that, and there's practically no crime. And it's not because of the police presence. It's because an armed society is polite society, right? So he thinks that's dumb. So he's basically saying that during the riots that are happening right now, and during the looting and all that, those people in the community, in certain communities, like there are communities in Iowa and Idaho, I think there's a community in a couple other places. There's plenty of communities in the United States right now that are pulling together to protect their businesses and protect their homes. They're patrolling with firearms. They're doing this, they're doing that, and they're deterring any type of rioting going on. As a matter of fact, one town got wind that of Antifa coming through, and guess what he did? Guess what they did? They got their firearms. They went into their communities. They went into their business areas, and they were armed. They were patrolling. They were guarding their shops. They were guarding their businesses. And guess what happened when Antifa showed up? Well, they left. They saw people with their firearms and they took off. And it wasn't because of the police presence, because guess why? The police presence does not deter the rioters and the looters, obviously, because guess what? It's already happening. There's already a police presence in many of these areas where they're looting and rioting. And they're doing it anyway. The police are not stopping people from looting and rioting. As a matter of fact, they're antagonizing people. They're amping people up. You see what I'm saying? The police aren't really there to protect the community. They're there to keep order. They're there to enforce policy. So they don't really care about the shots, man. You don't see police officers standing guarding businesses. You don't see them doing that. They're mobbing up and down the street. Now you'll see them guard City Hall. You'll see them guard the White House. You'll see them guard government buildings, because guess why? That's who they work for. The police do not work for the people. The police work for the government, the municipalities. And so those are the buildings they're protecting. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section. If you've ever seen a group of police officers guarding an AutoZone, please point it out to me. Put a link in the description of a video or something, you know. But as far as I can tell, they're just guarding government buildings. So they're not there, and then they're guarding Derek Chauvin's home, right? That's what they're doing. So the police are not there to help people, to protect people, to make people feel safe. That's not why they're there. People might feel safe with the police presence, right? Because, you know, cops are out there patrolling during normal times. They'll arrest people for committing crimes that have already happened. Yeah, that's what the police do. The police come after the crime has already occurred. And they might deter some crimes, but 9 times out of 10, they're not. 9 times out of 10, they show up afterward. Okay? They show up afterward. So the idea that we should take the responsibility on ourselves to protect our own, the idea of that is not so ridiculous, is it? When you think about what the police actually do. You know, if a police officer is patrolling down the neighborhood and they see somebody breaking into a car, they might be able to do that. They might be able to stop them. Or if they see somebody being held at gunpoint and during the process, or if they're in a store during a robbery, or if they show up to a store during a robbery, they might be able to stop that crime. They might be able to deter the victim from being harmed. But there's no way they can protect everybody. You understand? There's no way they can protect every family, every business, every individual in that community. There's simply not enough police officers. You would have to have at least one police officer posted in everybody's home, in everybody's place of business. It can't happen. That's why these places of business hire private armed security guards. You see what I'm saying? They hire private armed security guards, and sometimes they be wilding out too. Sometimes they take shit too far. But you know, so what does that tell me? That tells me that I can't rely on the police. I can't. That tells me that no one can rely on the police to keep them safe. It's up to you. It's your responsibility to keep yourself safe. Ultimately, right? Now, if you're let's say you're on a construction job site. This is a perfect example. On a construction site, you might have a safety individual, right? A safety person walking around, making sure everybody is performing their job safely. But he cannot prevent anybody from getting injured on his own. Even if you have 5 or 6 safety people on a job site, which you won't at one time, You cannot ensure everybody's safety as a safety individual. So that's why they tell you when you're on a construction site that everybody, including the apprentices, is responsible for safety. Responsible for their own safety and the safety of others. Look out for each other. Look out for each other. Make sure everybody's being safe. If you see somebody doing something unsafe, call them out on it. And that's essentially what community policing is. Everybody is responsible for safety. Everybody is responsible for their own protection. Everybody's responsible for their children's protection, their wife's protection, their husband's protection. Everybody's responsible for their family protection. So, if there's not enough police officers to go around to keep every single person safe, wouldn't it make sense to take up some of that responsibility? Wouldn't it make sense to arm everyone, right? Arm every adult individual, arm every able teenage individual, get them trained, right? Because like on a construction site, or even in the union, right? You go through a safety course. You go through a safety course to learn how to be safe, basically. How to learn what to look for, to learn how certain things are set up and regulated to prevent any disaster from occurring, right? Like where you can stand on the ladder, this, that, and the third. So that's what you do with the firearms. That's what you do with when you drill into people's minds how they can perform a defensive maneuver, how they can keep themselves safe with a firearm. That's how you do that. You know, and every adult individual will go through a safety course, and they will coordinate with other members in their community on how to, if something happens, if there's a break-in, if there's a mass shooting or anything like that, they can kick it into gear and handle their business. And a mass shooting is a perfect example. Because guess what happens when you just rely on the cops and the law to keep you safe? What happens? Well, with the law, in many states, you can't carry a firearm on a school campus, right? Or in many businesses. So, what does that do? Well, that puts you in a fish in a barrel situation, where if somebody has it in them to go commit a mass shooting, guess what? They can go to that school or that place of business where there's a lot of targets with just a pistol, with a pistol or a rifle, you know what I mean, or a shotgun, and they can take out quite a bit of people. Because guess what? If he even just has a pistol with a few 16-round magazines, and the people in the school have nothing, then he's probably going to be able to take out as many people as a lot of people. It's happened before, right? It's happened before. So in that situation where you're in a classroom and you hear some gunshots going off, what do you do? Well, what they teach you in school nowadays is you try to barricade the door, and then everybody hides in the corner and all this other stuff in a blind corner, and it's quiet, and they hope and pray that shooter does not come into their classroom to try to take them out. And guess what they have to wait for? They have to wait for the police to come to the campus, or even campus police. They have to wait for the campus police to show up and locate the shooter. How long do you think it's going to take for them to locate the shooter if they're on campus? And when you're in these buildings and gunshots are going off, and you're outside the building and you're looking for the shooter, the shots are going off because of the acoustics. It's hard to pinpoint where those shots are coming from. So now you have a classroom full of children sitting there waiting to see who's going to show up, the shooter or the police. Who's going to get to them first? More than likely, it's going to be the shooter. So, how helpful is the police in that instance? You know, they might get there and stop the shooter after he's killed about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20, 30 people. But what if there's multiple shooters? Each in different locations, like spread out. maximizing their kill ratio. Then what's gonna happen? Then what you gonna do? You gonna wait for the cops to show up and find all of these shooters? That's what you that I mean, even in a department chock full of good cops, right? Right now, we're not even talking about police brutality. We're talking about police response. We're talking about what they can and can't do. They can't prevent everything. And guess what? Even in a completely armed society, they can't prevent everything either. But they'll be able to prevent a lot more than if they weren't an armed society. A whole lot more. But what if those teachers, I know, teachers already are abusive to children, they shouldn't have our firearms, right? Well, what if they were duly vetted and analyzed, let's say veterans, armed veterans on that campus? I know it seems horrible, right? Why do we have to have armed security all over campus? What if you had that? What if the teachers, I know the teachers are not, their job is not to be armed and protect children, but it might have to come to that one day where they might have to go to the range. They might have to train in the safe use of firearms. They might have to be vetted. They might have to be psychologically evaluated to the nth degree. But that's something to think about. So if that teacher were armed in that school when the shooter showed up, then they're more capable of protecting their students. If the shooter comes to their room, they'll be able to take that shooter out. If they're trained properly, if they have a cool level head, and if they're not panicking. And that's why you perform these drills. You perform the drills so that they can get used to reacting in the right manner, in the most efficient manner. That's why you train them. But that's dumb, right? It's dumb to rely on self and community members for safety, for protection. That's dumb. It's dumb. Even though it's going on right now. Even though in certain cities and in municipalities, in neighborhoods, they have private police forces. That's dumb, though. That's dumb. Even though in some communities community members are patrolling. They can open carry. Even before the riots, they were patrolling their own neighborhoods, keeping them safe. That's dumb though. That's dumb. Neighborhood watch, right? It's basically about the community coming together to help keep their neighborhood safe. They're keeping a lookout, and sometimes they're armed, right? If they live in a free society where they don't have all these gun control laws, they're walking around armed. They're patrolling their neighborhoods armed as part of the community watch program. But that's dumb. That's dumb. And why are they doing that? Because they know they can't rely on the police to see and do everything for them. They can't rely on you can't rely on the government to do any and everything for you. That's dumb. That's dumb. You know what's dumb? Calling for the police. No, calling for your president to put boots on the ground on American soil to stop something, to stop riots, to stop looting. That's dumb. That's dumb. Because, so, you know what's dumb? To understand that police officers are retreating and standing down and allowing crimes to happen, allowing things to happen, because guess why? They're under the authority of the city council people, of the mayor, of the commissioner, and they're telling them to stand down. They're telling them not to perform their job. So it's dumb to understand that that's going on and still think that the police are the last bastion of hope. That's dumb. Because what you're doing is you're telling people that they can't rely on themselves. They should rely on themselves. They should depend on the government to take care of them. Even though you're conservative and you're telling people that you want smaller government, you're full of shit. You're full of it. What you're actually telling people is you can't do it on your own. You can't protect yourself. Let the government take care of it. Let the police take care of it. Rely on them for everything. That's dumb. Anyway, that's all I got, man. That's enough of my rant. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man, in the comment section. Do y'all think that I know they say the polls say that 90% of people don't want the police to go bye-bye. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Should we rely on the police to protect us? Do you guys think it's dumb to think that the community can come together and start a program and discuss safety amongst themselves and how to defend and protect themselves and not rely on the police? Do you think it's dumb? Do you think that police are also human beings, and if they can train and learn and know how to take care of threats, to handle to shoot, to know how to shoot and know how to assess a threat, know how to deal with the threat. If you understand that they're human beings and that we also can do that, then y'all let me know in the comment section, man. Or do you think that if you're not a cop, do you think that once you become a police officer, your brain downloads all the ability to learn how to be a police officer, to know how to assess a threat, to take care of a threat, to respond to it, to respond to distress? Do you think that you need a special download from heaven, being anointed from the city council? Do you have to be anointed to be a police officer? Do you have to have special abilities and special knowledge and special? Are you a mutant, or do you think that any human being, any adult human being, of sound mind and body, can learn how to protect themselves as well? Is that a possibility, or is that just dumb? Is it dumb to think that someone can learn how to perform a job of a protector of a community without becoming a police officer? Do you think that the badge holds some special? Is it imbued with the oil of knowledge? Is it crystallized? And once you put it on, and once you take the badge off, you no longer know how to think and how to perform a job. Yeah. Anyway, man, I'm people are so ridiculous, man. Anyway, y'all let me know, man. Like, share, subscribe if you feel the need to. And I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.